Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Shop Life. So today we are delivering and starting to install this big built-in. Luckily, the job is like not even a mile down the road, so we can take a couple trips and not waste a ton of time. And we're probably not going to finish this all today, but we got most of it done. I got my buddy Marshall coming. He's going to help me out today. So yeah, let's get after it. So we've got that whole built in. We've got this little bench, which the client already had. We painted it, and then we made this mudroom locker style cabinet to sit on top of it. It's obviously upside down right now. I still have to throw the backs on that. And this goes behind this cabinet, like right here on this end, and then the door goes out to the garage. All right, and then it was off for delivery. Luckily, this job was less than a mile down the road. So we did a few trips in the truck. I did sell the van a few weeks ago. I don't think I mentioned that. With having the truck now, I drive that mostly, and the van was just sitting there most of the time, so I thought it was time to get rid of it. So we sold that. I do plan on picking up a trailer just for deliveries and stuff like that. So yeah, no more van. But here is the space, so that's where the bookcase goes. You can see that half wall is coming out, and you can see where the bench was. And so that half wall is coming out, and the whole idea was to put the bookcase, take the half wall out, so then the bench could be slid back further, giving them a little extra space when they come in the house from the garage. Because right now the bench was just right there inside the door, and there was really no room to move around. And I jumped the gun a little bit with setting the toe kick. I should have been helping Marshall get the wall out first, so he started on this on the other side. Had plywood all over it, and yeah, it did have electrical in the wall, so we didn't want to just take a Sawzall to it until we got it opened up so I could see where the wires were. But then once we saw it, then I was able to just slice through it and break this thing apart. And like I said, should have done this before I started setting the toe kick, but it's all good. We got it out. I typically don't take on stuff like this, doing demo and whatever anymore, but made an exception for this job. Everything actually went pretty smooth. So here you can see I'm setting the toe kick with just a scrap piece of trim. I have a line on it, and I'm just shimming up the toe kick to my laser line. And I toe screwed it to the floor. So here I'm just going down the line and making sure I'm still good. And then once that's set, then it's just setting the boxes back on top. And I did label everything from the way we had it in the shop so that everything went together nice and easy. Marshall, this is my buddy Marshall, by the way. He was helping me out for the day. And he was able to just screw everything together, all the holes lined up already, so that went pretty smooth. So one plus about mocking things up in the shop and just trying to make the install go as smooth as possible by doing as much as I can in the shop. Got those outlets cut out. And then Marshall's just going down the line, attaching all the cabinets, setting the ones on top as well. Again, everything is labeled. There he is. What a guy. Clamping everything together, using the square to make sure everything's in line with the lower cabinet. And then I took my attention to the mudroom side, where the flooring before stopped right at the beginning of the bench. So luckily my client had an extra box of the flooring, so I just pulled up this whole section basically and weaved in some new pieces so we could get under the bench. And here's the bench going in, so you can see the paint line on the wall over there of where the bench used to be, and it comes up higher because there was a trim piece on top. But I had to notch the top of this thing to be able to slide it back further. So we gained, I think, like 7 or 8 inches with this going back further than it was. And it might not sound like a lot, but it did make the room feel much bigger when you walk in the door with the bench not being right there. All right, I didn't get a shot of us putting the lockers up on there, but there they are. You can see it fitting nice. Marshall's working on screwing those together, and I've got some work setting this thing and getting it plumb. You can see the walls are not perfect, but here I am scribing the long piece of baseboard to the floor. So I've got the double biscuits. You could see it was lifted up 3/4 from the bottom of the shelf. So I set my scribe to 3/4 and just scribed it to the floor. This floor did have a big hump in it from like almost in the middle of it. You can see how high up it is off the floor down there. And I like the tape and cutting it because then it gives me a really nice line that I'm cutting right to. So I didn't get any shots cutting it either, but then we just biscuited it, glued the biscuits in, snapped the piece on. See, we got a really nice tight scribe to the floor. Came out really nice. This was that piece that we actually glued together. So this was like a 15-foot piece. Everything's lined up, looking good. And there's me just thinking about what to do next. So now that the baseboard piece was in, and I did throw some brads in that, just nailed it. Once I get my Lamello Zeta P2 back, we will be using that for applications like this, but I just put some brad nails. The nice thing about this water-based finish is I can just touch up, fill those little holes, and touch up with the Evo product. So Marshall's going ahead and setting the stiles, and I was scribing the next piece to the wall. I also didn't get any shots of scribing the crown piece in, but it was the same process as scribing the base piece. And so I didn't want any brads in the stiles that were going to be right in your face. So with those, we just taped the biscuits on, or those stiles on, until the glue set up. We just wrapped some tape around it to hold it tight, and that was really it. I got that left stile in there, fitting nice and tight. Ended up with a really good scribe. Turned out nice. And then you can see the V-groove joint here where we put the chamfer on the front edge of our plywood and then the back side of the face frame. So that's the little joint it gives you, which I think adds a nice little detail. Here we're setting that top rail, the one that I dropped or not top rail, lock rail I guess. The one that I dropped in the shop and broke and had to redo. And so this, because it's up high, I did hit it with some brads, and again they get filled and touched up afterwards. And then just throwing in these center stiles up high, and we're pretty good to go. These were kind of tight. So with the design of this whole thing, the height of that 4-inch lock rail had to be a certain dimension for the ladder the client is getting that's going to go across this. So that was what dictated the height of that, and then whatever we were left with was what that upper box was.
Yo, what's up guys? It is Monday after the long 4th of July weekend. So we're gonna continue this install video into today. We don't have a ton to do over at this job. Just a few things to button up. So we'll show you that, and then I'll kind of just walk you through and go over in detail everything. Wednesday when we were there last, it was a long day, and by the end of the day we were just trying to get out of there so we could give the homeowners their living room back. So yeah, today I'm just gonna button up some things and then we'll go over everything, and then should only be there for a couple hours, and then we'll be back to the shop to start on the next bigger project, which we have to go pick up a ton of wood right down the street here for that. And yeah, let's get after it. So I had some blocking behind this piece so I can get this trim piece attached. So I got that slid in, threw a few brads in it. And the reason we did this, actually this was Matt Moore's idea, to leave, because he does my drawings, to leave the box a couple inches away from the wall there. And it's a good idea because that wall was not plumb with the archway at all. So if we tried to make it tight to it, it would have been touching at the very top and away from it at the bottom. So we just decided it was best to leave it away and fill it in with a filler piece like that. And it actually worked out really good. Here we are cutting the toe kick vent in. I know you guys are probably saying, you were covering up that vent, but I didn't. We cut it out. It's all good. So this piece, I had some blocking up there, you could see, to back that. We had talked about doing it the same color as the walls, and client ultimately decided they wanted it to match the mudroom, or match the green color, so that's what we did. Finishing it off with a couple fillers here, that trim piece. This one outlet, I was not able to pull the whole box out, so we had to add one of these extension pieces for the box so that the wires aren't just kind of floating there in the wall. And that was it. About a day and a half install. That included the demo and everything, and this thing came out really nice. Pretty happy with it. You can see those V-groove joints, which are a good way, in my opinion, to when you need to assemble things on site like this. This was a giant bookcase. And then here's the other side with the mudroom. Everything looking good. All right, we're back at the shop. I finished up over there, and then I'm back at the shop. I just went and picked up all the lumber for this next project, which I'm going to show you guys. We'll get into it. We'll talk a little bit about where do I even begin with a big project like this. So we'll talk about that a little bit, and then yeah. All right, so here's the lumber for the next project. This is definitely not going to be enough, but there's more right down the street, so I'll go pick it up as I need it. But this is kiln dried fir, and I'll tell you a little more about this here in a second. So here is the sample door. You guys remember we made this a few weeks ago. So they want that rough sawn look, so we're really not doing any milling. The panels, we do need to resaw, so we're going to actually put the bandsaw over here somewhere where I have an outlet for it and get that set up tomorrow. I am sitting here planning and getting ready to get into this next project. So we've gotten it from all through the design phase, went and measured again. We are ready to start cutting stuff. I've got my doors list for my cabinet doors. I always make my doors first. Reason being, because my shop is not massive, and if I build all the cabinets first and put all them together, it gets really tight in here. So I like to build all my doors first. My numbers are my numbers, like my cabinets, everything needs to just be accurate. That's all. If all my numbers and my cuts and everything are accurate, then there's no problems. So that's what I start with. The big thing with this job is because this rough sawn fir is the panels. So the panels are going to be a lot of work. I have to resaw material, glue up the panels. So the back will obviously end up being smooth, and then the face will be that rough sawn. So all this wood the client had from, I can't remember if she said it was her it was somebody in their family's house where they had these trees cut down, these giant fir trees, and they had it milled and kiln dried and everything. So it's pretty cool that they're using this stuff for their cabinetry, and they're also using it for like some exposed beams they have in the house and stuff like that. And we may even be doing some interior doors with this stuff, which would be really cool. So the panels are going to be quite a bit of work. So tomorrow we'll start breaking down material, resawing, getting and hopefully gluing up panels tomorrow. And then the rest of the doors will actually be pretty easy because there's really no milling. I just have to rip stuff down and then run it through the shaper. And so with it being that, they had it milled at like with like an old school mill with a big circular saw blade. So it has those nice circular saw marks on them. And then after glue up, I just kind of lightly sand everything to get the fuzziness off. And then that's what we're going with. I'm not even finishing this job. The client, they own a big commercial painting company, so they're having their guys do all the finishing, which is awesome for me. So tomorrow we'll start breaking that stuff down. Because this is a full house package, so there's going to be a lot of content coming out of this project. This is obviously not like a week-long project, so it's going to be broken up into sections. So I might do like another video on doors, a video on building cabinet boxes, a video on just kind of final assembly and putting everything together. I'll probably do some individual builds on like some of the vanities. The pantry is pretty cool. There are some cool details, so we'll work in quite a few videos out of this one project. And then when we go to install this, we'll definitely do a very detailed install video. I know the install stuff that we did on this bookcase didn't get super detailed and stuff like that. It was kind of tight in there with those big cabinets and having all our tools in the house. And the client was also there with their kids and stuff like that. So, because they're obviously home from school. So it wasn't the most ideal situation for filming an install video, but we did get to cover some cool stuff. So that job is all done. So that was nice that I got over there and that's done. Now I can strictly focus on this. I also have two other furniture style cabinets that we have coming up that are going to be pretty cool too. That'll be a build video as well. But let's look at the plans here and I'll talk about how I even will get started with a job like this. Okay, so here are my plans. So I've talked about this before. I don't do my own drawings. I pay somebody to do it. Matt Moore does my drawings. He is a chief architect. It's just something that is worth it for me to just pay to have him do it. He's been doing it for me for years. So we got the plan view here of the kitchen. So we've got 2 elevations. We've got this cool garage style door that comes down on the countertop, and then the countertop goes through to the outside of like a nice covered patio out there. Island. So here's the kitchen. Kitchen is not huge, but then we go into the pantry, and the pantry has a ton of cabinets. So here's the 2 pantry elevations. It's got another giant fridge in here, fridge freezer. Tons of cabinets, tons of drawers. And here's the pantry. Then we have this little bar unit. So this actually is not a wall. It's these just open kind of stairs that are here. So it won't actually look like that. It's definitely going to be more open. But we're doing this little bar unit here with some floating shelves. Master bath with the 2 medicine cabinets that we're doing. Then we have another vanity upstairs, little powder bath next to the kitchen, and then this laundry room unit. This is actually in the bathroom. But this is going to be cool. It's a giant pull-out hamper thing, and then like a pull-out ironing board thing that we have to make. So pretty cool job. Definitely a lot of doors to make, a lot of cabinets to make. So when I start a job like this, I triple check all my numbers, make sure everything is good, make sure appliance numbers are good, double check all that stuff, because the worst feeling is when you go to deliver and install cabinets and you find out you made a cabinet the wrong size or something like that. It's happened to me. Hasn't happened in a while, because I think once it happens to you, you're gonna definitely do everything you can to not let that happen again, because it's a huge bummer and it could affect a lot of things and really screw things up. So once you get past all that and everything is good, like I said, I make my doors first, so that's what we're gonna do. We'll get started with the panels tomorrow, and then once we kind of take off on this thing, it just kind of flows. Like, I'll do the doors, then we'll get into the boxes. Typically I'd be sanding and getting ready to paint stuff too after the boxes, and I fit all my doors. I've got to make fillers and stuff like that. There are a few custom pull-out things that we have to make, so there's definitely a lot, but starting with the doors. So we'll get into that a little bit tomorrow, but that's all I got for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the install part of that build. That was a really fun project. It was nice to kind of just have that to focus on. And I did take on more than I typically would with that job, as far as like the demo of that half wall and stuff, but it all worked out. It wasn't too bad. Everything went pretty smooth, so can't complain. But that's it. That's all I got. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget about the Patreon if you want to sign up for that. And head over to the website, grab some merch. Good way to support the channel. But I appreciate you guys. See you in the next one.